Welcome to Beyond the Basement, the complete Attack on Titan podcast. In this show, we're not just rewatching, we're going behind the scenes, deep into the anime story, unearthing intrigue, and exploring new theories about the Attack on Titan universe. The majority of each episode is spoiler-free. Then, after a warning, we'll take a few minutes to connect the dots with storylines from future episodes. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts, but don't forget, you can join us for the live broadcast Sunday nights on Facebook and watch every episode on YouTube. Links will be in the show notes. With that, let's get into the conversation. Hey!
Welcome!
Ohayo gozaimasu. Hola, everyone. How many languages can I say hello tonight?
Bonjour.
Let's see. That's really it. I actually can't think of any others. What about in Russian?
Da.
Da? I think it's just yes.
That's just yes. But
Okay. Well,
I see
anyway,
a Russian guy, I'm going to say da.
welcome to Beyond the Basement, where we waste zero of your time listening to our episodes. This is the complete Attack on Titan podcast, which hopefully you should know by now. We're nearly 20 episodes deep. I'm your host, one of your hosts. They call me Eric. They call this guy
My name's Peter.
the Griff. They call her
I'm Rachel.
the Anne Redfield. And together, with our powers combined, we will bring to you the most excellent of all conversations regarding the deepest of all the animes, that is episode 18 of Attack on Titan. And this episode is called
of the Giant Trees.
Forest of Giant Trees, which is a rough translation of Redwood National Forest. So this episode actually takes place in California, weirdly enough.
The ODM gear can really get them pretty far.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's
it goes
amazing,
quicker than you
actually.
think. Horses in this universe are actually... All that actually proves is that the walls and the everything is actually somewhere in
the US.
in California, in the eastern part of
Oh, it
California.
all makes
Maybe
sense now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I almost just gave away a spoiler right there.
Spoiler.
But I'm really glad that I didn't.
You didn't. All right, well, we'll save it for the end. So, all right, let's do a quick recap here, and then we can actually get into it. So this episode is another one of those ones where you pretty much, you watch it and you're like, yeah, there's no way I'm just watching this one. You have to get into this. This is like a two-part.
It even
two-parter.
says 2 parts.
Which the episodes
one,
are short
part two.
enough. I almost wish that they would just do that at some point. Be like, all right, here's the whole series, but like each time there's a two-parter where they really belong together, we'll just make them one longer
Just mash
episode.
it up.
Yeah, so make it a 40 minutes. So this one, we find out that Armin and the gang have survived, that the female Titan has taken off, and they are missing a horse. So
Yes.
Krista, a fellow scout, comes in to save the day, and they all want to marry her. Then let's see here. Then they basically say, all right, well, the right wing's been decimated. Yeah, this crazy abnormal Titan is going on, and we're less than an hour outside of into this expedition. We're definitely going to retreat. But they see green smoke signals. They realize, okay, we're not retreating. So we cut to Eren. We realize Eren doesn't really know what's going on. We've already realized that Jean, Armin, Reiner, they don't particularly know what's going on. Neither does Krista.
No.
And they continue the ride. And we learn from a couple of soldiers that we don't really know. I don't think we know their names. The ones that are discussing the destination, that like they're not even heading the right direction for their original destination, which should be playing into your suspicions. So they eventually, what am I trying to say? The female Titan kind of continues her rampage, kills a bunch of different scouts who are trying to defend, and they eventually, all the scouts run into this forest of giant trees. Whereupon they receive orders not to enter the forest, but to stand outside of it and to keep the Titans from entering. And only the center rank, which we've now learned is where Eren is riding, Eren, Levi, and his little squad. Only the center rank is to enter the forest, and they go in through this kind of main path. And as they do, sure enough, female Titan has found her way all the way into the center of the squad, which it seems like she knows. At this point, we're pretty confident she's looking for Eren. Which she is. She actually goes for him. She goes to grab. She misses, and it's just this one little squad. It's Levi and the gang, and they're all like, "What the frick do we do?" And all Levi says is, "Cover your ears." Yep,
He's about to just drop some
earmuffs. Yeah, he's gonna say some horrible curse words. Like, earmuffs,
all
kids.
the bad words.
All the bad words are coming out. So this episode, like I said, is definitely a connector one, and I kind of like that they spent some time on this expedition. But I actually. Yeah, you have to watch both these episodes together for this to make any sense. This one and the next one. Anyway.
Yeah, I feel like I probably did watch several episodes in this session when I was first watching it.
For sure.
And I watched this one, and you can't. And the cliffhangers in the show are just so severe. You have to usually watch.
Pretty sure the first time through we watched them.
There's more.
back to
There's
back.
more times when there's not there's more times when there's cliffhangers and there's not cliffhangers.
Mhm.
And so you pretty much just have to binge watch the show till they finally give you a break of no cliffhangers. And you're like,
Which
okay, I can
kind of
stop
doesn't
watching.
happen hardly at all.
Yeah, even as like you get to the end of the season and you're like, whoa.
Every single episode makes you scream. Wah!
But in watching this episode, and then quickly watching the next one because we had to find out what happened next, I feel like doing that kind of took away from the brilliance of this episode specifically.
Yeah, you missed some of the details because
And now-
there are some really key ones, especially if you've already watched the show through. Which I feel like we could be doing more of this in the spoilers section. We could be doing spending a little more time
Connecting dots.
connecting. Like we do spoilers, like things that we couldn't say during like the kind of the first part. But like what you're saying, where appreciating the detail, not just saying things that weren't in the episode, but saying things that are in the episode that connect to. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. So now that we're breaking this episode down specifically, I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, this episode is actually, it's, in the grand story, it's kind of just like a heartbeat before the next episode, which is the conclusion.
Mhm.
But this episode leading up to has a lot of kind of finer, like I said, finer details inside. And so it has almost no action in terms of Titan fighting. It's just these quick bursts throughout the episode, but it's laced with this intrigue. And the storyline of this episode is what is going on? Where are we going? Are we going to retreat? And why aren't we retreating?
Yeah, I think the dominant theme here is no one knows
What?
the plan.
The
No
actual
one
crap
knows the plan, except
on.
for Levi seems to be the only one who seems to have a
Mhm.
plan, and Armin seems to believe that Captain or the Commander Irwin, who orchestrated this whole thing, has a plan as well, which seems to be the case. But the fact that nobody knows actually kind of builds the tension here for me. So
Completely.
So building on this first part here, so the first part we run into Armin, it's Reiner, Jean, and Armin's kind of like banged up, and he is having this like intense flashback of the female Titan's like face and like everything, and he's like clearly like kind of messed up over it. And John is in his head kind of going, okay, well, we got one horse, and we basically somebody has to stay here. And I love how this show, one of the things that makes it like nuanced and complex is it's almost like he's just the creator decided like, how many situations can I put my characters in and where in which they have to live out philosophical debates on ethics.
True.
Like,
how many times can we reveal who these people really are at the core of their being?
Yeah,
which is
By
a
putting
great
them
point.
in really crappy situations.
It's a great
Yes.
point. That's when you see the real character of people.
Yeah.
come out.
under pressure like this.
Yeah, and so you can like, I feel like this show has done a good job of over 18 episodes building up these characters a lot, but you can actually do a whole lot of character work in a short time by being under extreme
Putting him
stress.
under serious pressure. So like the debate that the Jean's having in his head is, we got 3 people here and only 1 horse. We can only get 2 people on there. And he's like, okay, well, Armin's already hurt, but we need him. That would be horrible. Reiner is big, so he taxed the
Humongous
horse a
and
little bit
heavy.
more. Or maybe I should stay because since I lost my horse, I should go find it on foot. And he's like, gosh, why should I even have to be considering this? And so again, there's a little bit of reality crashing in on a cartoon show here, which is when you read like survival stories and stuff, that's real.
Yeah,
That stuff, like decisions like that actually have to get made. Like, okay, we only
Car
have enough
breaks
resources.
down.
Yeah.
Who goes ahead? Who stays with the car?
We only have enough resources to feed and keep so many people alive for so long, 4 of us, but there's 8 of us here, like who gets to eat today? Like situations like that. And okay, the best example I can think of in the second Spider-Man movie, I'm pretty sure, is the one where the Goblin, maybe it's the first one.
It's the first one.
Where he has Mary Jane
Mhm.
and the school kids,
Mhm.
and I don't know if they're in a bus or a tram or something like that.
Yep.
And he goes and he drops both of them, and Peter Parker has to decide, okay, like one life that I love, or these many lives. Like that would be like a debacle that probably none of us will ever be in, but could happen. And they put that in the movie by design, because that is literally when you take like an ethics class, like a philosophy class, that's literally one. There's a specific name for each scenario, but that's one of them is like, what's the value of a human life or human lives? How do you weigh those things? And so in this show, it's what's the value of each of us, and it's very utilitarian. Not to get too much into philosophy, which is to say that like, who serves the best purpose here?
Yeah.
That's kind of how you have to think in certain survival situations.
Right.
Is no longer can you be like, well, let's all be fair. It's not fair that Eric should get the horse. We should all walk together. And I was like, no, we need to survive. So
Somebody
Eric,
has
you're the
to
fastest
survive.
rider. Reiner, you're the biggest. You need to stay behind. You could probably defend for yourself the best out of all of us anyways. So let's let
We'll come back and get you, hopefully.
yeah, or whatever it is. You kind of have to stop worrying about like what's kind and what's nice and what's equal. You have to kind of go with what works and how you stay alive.
Reiner's like, okay, we have 3 minutes to decide, but in 3 minutes we have to decide. And then
Well, they fire smoke.
Yeah,
So
they fire the emergency smoke
They
signal.
say first, before anybody leaves, let's shoot up smoke and see if we see anything.
See if anybody responds.
Yeah.
and then he repeats himself after they shoot the smoke. Okay, we only have 3 minutes, and then Armin's like, I've made a decision.
Armin volunteers to stay behind.
I will stay behind.
He says, just report this one thing for me.
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, well, actually, but maybe you can report it yourself, because I see Christa, a fellow scout, off in the distance. She's heading to them with horses. But you have to wonder, because Armin doesn't actually say what he wants them to report, does he?
No,
Correct.
he doesn't. He gets cut off because he's about to say it, and then John says, tell him yourself.
Yeah. So, I mean, I imagine that he would have been saying, there's a intelligent...
I know who the Titan is or something.
I don't think he knows yet, but he would be saying...
He has suspicions.
He has suspicions. There's an intelligent Titan hunting Eren, and you need to be sneaking careful.
Yeah.
But at this point, we don't know where Commander Irwin even is, and to catch up. So, I mean, luckily, Christa rides up. She's got the son behind her, carrying John's horse. Hey, you guys! I just saw you
found
stranded.
this horse. Yeah.
Would you like a little horse?
Are
here?
you okay?
This is one of the few intentionally romantic scenes in the show.
Yeah,
I read.
She tears up. You read what she says.
I just wanted to read my note because I think it's Reiner compliments Christa about her. How did he put it exactly?
Remarkable sense of virtue.
Her virtue, and
he says, "You have a way with horses and a remarkable sense of virtue. We owe you one."
And then it goes up, and after he compliments her, Christa is like the cutest teary-eyed girl ever, and they all fall in love with her.
Well, she says like, "I was just so worried
I'm so glad you're all
you
safe.
guys would have, something worse would have happened to you. I'm just so glad you're okay." And man, let me tell you, if you are a woman trying to get a man expressing like genuine concern for his well-being, big anime eyes,
and tiny little tears
ear,
escaping as you like rub it with like a small child would rub their eyes. Like she didn't just, kind of go like this like a normal woman. She's like going like this, like she's 2 years old.
And all the men,
all
with
the
camera
adorableness.
It's a funny
Armin
shot.
John says,
they
she's
all
a
say,
god.
She's
Armin
a god.
She's a god.
Goddess.
And then, John says goddess. And then
he like stutters.
Reiner's like, I want to marry her. It's like,
they all want to marry her and think she's a goddess.
Yeah, let's go back to the speed point here, where in Speed they say that the trauma of real life, accentuates people's emotions towards one another. There's probably something going on there for sure. But yeah,
well,
Christa's
she also
the hero.
saved the day.
And so they begin to ride on. As they begin to ride on, try to catch up with whoever's left of their, formation.
Yeah,
we hear information that they've actually only been out from the walls 1 hour.
They've already had all this crap go down.
So I was trying to think of like mathematically, you can get a horse up to like a horse can run it for sure 30, 35 somewhere in there.
Yeah,
like that's a pretty steady pace. So just pretty quick. So
I feel like
if
it's a little less if they're going longer distance.
Yeah, and so if let's say they're running, let's call it high 20s, so they're something like 28 miles. Perhaps outside the walls, but the fact that it's been less than an hour, all this has happened.
So many lives have been lost. They've seen several abnormals. They've seen a Titan shifter, right? They've seen an intelligent female Titan.
A bunch of crap has gone down.
A lot. They've seen almost all of their friends on the right side die. Their whole formation has gotten screwed up. And it's only been 1 hour outside the walls.
So
and they're not even outside the walls. They're just still
it's
within.
just like
Maria.
Your parents are going to leave the house for 3 hours, and in the first hour, the kids just completely destroy the entire house and have started a small fire in the kitchen.
It's like an episode of 24. If you guys ever watched that show, like so much happens in that show, and
then it ticks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're riding on. They're like, man, this is so crazy. Things were a lot more grim than we thought. And
so they're anticipating a retreat here.
Yeah, they're like, with this much of our formation being decimated, for sure they're going to call us back, because the point of this mission was kind of to like try to get to the southern city, to try to check out Eren's powers and to see how far they could get.
Yeah, they want to set up a logistics base. Is something else they mentioned this episode that was like
to try to launch on. Yeah. So with so many losses so early, it'd be really difficult to justify this mission. Let's pull everybody back. Let's play it safe. Let's do the right thing. Well, as they're writing, they see green smoke.
Yeah.
And green
a lot of it
is the signal for...
It's the directional one.
We're turning
this way. This way.
So everyone can follow the direction. And they're like, wait, green smoke? I thought we should be retreating by now. Why are we still going normal? Why are we still getting directions from the commander? Does he not know?
What is he thinking?
Yeah, so immediately now, as soon as things go wrong, the commander gets questioned, right? It's always the commander's fault. What was he thinking? Couldn't he have planned better than this? Does he not have all the information we have? Because if we were in command, we would do this. And Reiner even speaks to this. Reiner even says...
all soldiers have authority to decide if an operation can't continue.
Yeah, which is...
He also looks extremely angry.
Yeah,
he's kind of upset.
Because they're all kind of real. And John's cussing in the background. Like, stupid Commander Erwin. Like, what is he thinking?
Yeah, we're in serious trouble.
Because so much bad has happened in the last hour. Yeah. There's no way we can, functionally continue this operation. But they're going to try to catch up anyways.
Yeah. And Armin actually says this line here, which we'll get to see a little bit more of this as the seasons go on. Armin... We know him for what he is already at this point, which is a smart young lad.
He stays cool-headed.
He's clever. I don't know if he stays cool-headed.
He
panics. He freaks out a little bit, but he is pretty smart even under pressure. So he has that going for him. He has a lot of strategy in there, but he also has some pretty serious... Well, we know he has loyalty in a sense to his friends, but he says here we'll defer... Excuse me. He says the best thing is to defer to... their judgment.
Yeah.
And their meaning, like he's talking about leadership. He's talking about those in command. And this gets expressed a little bit more in the show that Armin has this, it's not just loyalty, but it's like a sense of duty. And it's a not so misplaced trust in specifically Commander Erwin, which plays pretty heavily into the show in the long run. And it's just an interesting thing because I feel like at least in American media, that's pretty much never the case anymore, that you can trust your leaders. It's the thing that's going on in the movie or the show. You'd have to go back a ways to find a movie or a show where one of the dominant themes is no, like the person in command is good-hearted, they're smart, like they know what's going on, like I trust them even if I don't understand.
Trust the process, trust the commander.
Mm-hmm. That's not like common, but in this show, we know that would be a bad idea. For like, not everyone can say that. Not everyone should say that because there are definitely some people in authority. Remember early on, Pixis is meeting with the fat chest dude, the interior wall
guy.
The
guy who's a sniveling brat.
Yeah, it's kind of the two themes that we've been going off of. There's some people who have the titles who say they're an authority, and there's those people who actually are an authority.
Yeah, command like real authority.
And there's these people like Keith who cracked under pressure. There's people like the weird beardy guy.
Yeah, the beardy dude, Kit, I think is actually his name. I was looking at the episode details the other day. The guy who goes to shoot him with the cannon and so on. Yeah. And he's just like in it for himself, like selfish guy, like has no real leadership
and
skills.
Isn't listening to other people.
Who almost ruined all of the opportunity for them to have an amazing weapon and insight into Titan kind, right? And then you've got this Lord Wald who's been behind his wall, a pompous idiot, right? What was the line that Pixis told him?
Oh yeah, something like frick. He drops a serious burn on him. Okay, it happens. Go back and watch it.
So, but then you've got these elements of real leadership. You've got Commander Erwin. You've got Commander Pixis, right? You've even got Eren showing true leadership, even though he has no titles and no rank whatsoever. You've got guys who inspire other people, like Commander Levi or Captain Levi. So you've got the people who have been put into authority but have titles but don't have the ability to wield it. Bad leaders who can get a lot of people killed very quickly. And then you've got the opposite going on here.
On the other hand, you've got the Pixises, you've got the Erwin, like you said, even Eren to an extent. I mean, Mikasa to an extent. Jean, has been showing a lot of those traits. Like, there are other people who are like, wait, like, and it's not that these people are perfect, right? Because that would be a misnomer. That would be a misnomer as well, or that they, these people are even so much better. But there's something about them. They wield authority with sincerity. With their intentions are correct. They are both competent and good-hearted, which is what you're looking for in leadership. And it's just interesting that they put this line in here and that Armin actually kind of expresses this. Like, I'm saying this because he does this more than once. This like, no, we're going to go with what Erwin is saying. We're going to defer to their judgment. That's the best I can do right now. It's the best I can come up with. And that kind of like trust, that kind of loyalty is that's what unity is made out of.
Yeah.
And I understand, especially as Americans, we're like, no, don't blindly follow the, people in control. And that's, questioning authority, perfectly legitimate, perfectly true.
Yeah.
But when it comes to getting something done, and we do this on the job a lot too. It's like, all right, this is what the boss said. This is what we're going to do. We're going to be in unity with this decision, whether or not we like it or understand it. Like, this is what we're going to do. That is a good way to get to, like, that's how you build a city. That's how you get projects done. So
it creates that unity. And Saving Private Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Great example.
No, it's not. Sorry. Is it? What movie is it? Or is it Band of Brothers?
What is the? Tell us the
scenario.
So
I'm thinking Saving Private Ryan because they have to, like, none of them like that they have to go put their lives on the line to save.
Sorry, it's not that.
Okay.
It's a World War II movie.
Thought I was tracking with you there.
They're training, and there's one unit where there's a guy, and he's in charge of the unit, and he's like training to be in command of the unit, and he's barking orders at everybody, hurry up, we need to get our times faster, we need to get, and the commander looks at him and he says, that guy's gonna win medals. And then he looks over at another guy, and he's a guy who's another unit, and he's trained to be in command of this unit, and he's looking at his troops, and he's like, everybody help your brother next to you take off your boots because all their feet are like destroyed. And the commander looks and says, yeah, that guy will win medals, but that guy will win wars. And it's the camaraderie. It's the helping out your brother. It's the going above and beyond. It's the value of human life that a leader has, that he makes the decisions to do the most good with. Mm-hmm. Not the guy who's trying to get the times better because he wants to get seen and promoted. Those guys don't go anywhere. It's the actual value. That's true leadership. And that actually is what, when there is good leadership and everybody unifies behind it, amazing things can get done, right? And here, that's what Armin is hoping in Erwin, that, hey, hopefully he's got a plan. Hopefully he's done something well. Let's all just trust in it, keep following. If we break apart now, it's not going to help at all. Mm-hmm. At least let's just see what he's got going on.
Yeah, which, they don't have a choice anyway. Because, like, what are they going to do? Turn back just the 3 of them? Be like, okay, whatever. Or 4 of them at this point.
Yeah, they could, but it would probably be not very good.
Yeah. So, let's see here. So, trying to go through my notes.
We zoom to Eren at this point.
Yeah, this is where they cut to Eren. And this is where it becomes pretty clear. Eren doesn't fully know what's going on either. He says to himself, like, oh, man, things are progressing smoothly, but, who knows what's going on elsewhere in the ranks. And
which is amazing because all we've seen is Titan attacks, abnormal, people getting ripped to shreds, and Eren's completely untouched.
Hasn't seen any of it. He's been in the safest place.
Been working.
He's like, this has been smooth sailing so far.
Yeah, no big deal. This is pretty easy. All his friends are dead, And he even says, I wonder if people have already died. Like, yeah, Eren.
Turns
a
out.
lot of people.
Well, and then someone comes up on a horse and relays some information.
Well, he sees the black smoke signals. They fire those up first, and that's they have the abnormal or whatever.
Yeah.
I thought that the person came up and said
there's an oral message that does come
first,
they're both like one right after the other.
It doesn't matter. Yeah,
it doesn't really matter.
So the oral message comes up and says, "Oh yeah, right wing's been decimated.
Mm-hmm.
We have no scouters on that side, so we're completely vulnerable to attack. Because the way the formation works is the scouters shoot up the smoke, so you know when Titans are coming, so you can try to avoid them. But if you don't have the spotters, you don't know where the Titans are coming,
then
and you can get ambushed.
There's nothing no one can,
Yeah. So then so Eren like learns of this, and of course is freaked out. He's like, crap, are they doing this for me? Or like there's the panic starts to set in when you hear a message like that.
Yeah.
And then it cuts immediately to...
Well, and then he also knows that's where Armin is.
Yeah, he's like, he doesn't know where Armin is. And then it cuts to back to the female Titan. So now we're kind of tracking with her, and she is just basically continuing the rampage.
Yeah.
And I was saying, like, it is so unfortunate here that they cannot tell the various troops not to engage with her. That they are like that. There's especially in the open plains like that. Like she just has the complete and utter advantage. Like, do not engage with her. I just wish there could have been a way to like communicate, not just, hey, there's an abnormal, but there's an abnormal also. Just like let her run around, I guess, or like try and like distract her or slow her down, but like don't
she just
engage and go for the nape because she's gonna freaking destroy you. And like that part is this is like when you watch the dumb Titans eat Eren's mom, it's like horrifying. But it's kind of like watching somebody get like attacked by a
wreck
bear
or something.
Yeah, a train wreck. It's like it's a tragedy because it's a tragedy. But if Armin's right and this is a Titan shifter, this is a person who knows what she's doing. She's murdering these people,
and she's doing it with like
a gross kind of like arrogance
She's
and like
smashing
zeal.
them like bugs, and like she grabs one guy's ODM gear and just is swinging him like a yo-yo, and then just splats him on the ground like he's trash.
It's not just murder, but it's murder that could be.
It's like watching a cat play with its prey before it bites its head off. Almost, it's just a little disturbing.
You're saying the train wreck, but I'm saying the train wreck was like something that like couldn't have been avoided. This could be avoided if only they knew, like, hey, don't engage with this one. But as far as they know, their orders are to stop abnormal titans from getting to the center.
Yeah.
And they're just doing what they can to try to stop it, and it's not working out too well.
The thing that really sucks too is like she is protecting her vulnerable spot the whole time. She's just murdering people left and right.
And we see all these high level scouts trying these like really good strategies. They try 3 at once, all of them zipping around, really tricky angles,
trying to cut her ligaments and stuff, and she knows
jumps.
And
she does the jump move.
She
He's
jumps
like, oh my
in
gosh.
the air, and
no other Titans does. They kind of mentioned this a couple times, but so far, like, this is the athletic Titan. Like, this is the one who's got like moves.
She moves her feet around to match them when they like move their horses out of the way and just kicks them into the atmosphere.
Yeah, it's absolutely brutal the way that she's just murdering these dudes, and she's doing it with no remorse, no respect, no regard.
Yeah.
She has this creepy like half smile on her face the whole time.
Obviously we don't know who it is yet in the show, but we can tell whoever it is has zero regard for human life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of disgusting. And
it's very disturbing.
I hate her more now, knowing what I know. Anyway, so she twirls one around, she punts another one, and then we cut
the black
to
smoke.
Black smoke.
They see a horse and a person flying through the air, and then they look and see the Titan standing there.
It's black smoke time.
Yeah.
So then we
black smoke it up, friends.
We get another of those couple soldiers. I don't think we really know who they are. Who that's where they did. Now this is the part where they describe the old city thing.
Shoot the black.
They ask, they're like, oh yeah, like aren't we supposed to be going? We're supposed to be headed south, or to this old city in the south. But we've been heading east for quite a while now, and and this one guy's like, oh, we're gonna run into it, aren't we? And they look up and like, okay, there's the forest, a forest of giant trees.
Forest of giant trees.
And
not medium-sized trees or even large trees, but giant trees.
Which we did a little background research while watching this, and it says in the little clip in between that the trees are about 80 meters tall, which is a tad shorter than, or about the same height.
That's the size of a giant sequoia, but not the other one.
Okay, giant sequoias. So if you've ever been to the redwoods in California, if you've ever heard of them, the giant sequoias in California, that's about how tall they are, which is 300 feet?
No,
240.
Oh, yeah, 240 feet. So
240-ish.
Yeah, so if you've been in the redwoods, you can get a very good representation
Hyperion, that was the
of what these look like. The Hyperion trees are even taller, but that's not what we're talking about. The sequoias in the redwoods. And so
84
meters of General Sherman. And then what's this?
And then there's a Centurion and the Hyperion. So these are the two taller.
That's great.
Yeah, so they've been heading east because they think that they've been trying to get away from these Titans instead of going south. So they're gonna have to like loop way around, try to get back south to their destination point. But they're running right smack dab into all these trees. So Commander Irwin says, "Hey, let's let only the center column go in. Everybody else goes around." So they kind of split into 3 general areas. The center column goes in through the forest,
and everyone else starts to go like around.
Kind of goes around.
So this messes with the formation, obviously, and okay. So a couple things we can learn from those 2 soldiers who make the comments. Number 1, they also, like, we've looked at different units, people in different places in the formation. Nobody has been like, oh, well, we know exactly what's going on.
Nobody.
Commander Irwin has been playing this close to the vest, and we've been pointing this out up to this point. And that's true, and it's even more clear now that he's playing it ultra close to the vest, meaning like there's an entirely different thing going on than what the soldiers thought was going to happen in terms of the plan. The other thing is, so these giant trees, which they do point this out in this episode, are a good place to use ODM gear. It's better than being Titan food in the freaking plains.
Environment.
And they also kind of say in the little clip, the little in-between clip thing, the little informational deal, that this used to be a spot for leisure and like tourism and stuff. And so there's actually some like lodges and like...
Because the trees are so gigantic and beautiful.
it's just funny to me because I'm like, it's literally the Redwoods. Like, it's a tourist destination and people go for fun.
And the characters are all talking about how annoyed they are that they've gone to a sightseeing location. And they're like, why did the commander bring us to, like, Jean, I actually just put in my notes, Jean, it's a sassy poop, because the whole time he's like, what does the commander think bringing us here to sightsee? We're all going to die because of a bunch of beautiful trees. Like,
so this is the beginning of we've had it a little bit already, but this is the beginning of the major breakdown in the trust of the process and the trust of the plan with Commander Erwin, because it seems like all the plan has got shipwrecked. They're not going where they're supposed to be going, and all of a sudden now they're at this like leisure area. This is not where they're supposed to be, and there's this female Titan after Eren. Doesn't anybody know? So we zoom into to Reiner and to Christa and to Jean and to Armin.
They're all
and
up in
they're
trees.
kind of all dialoguing together. And here's what they say.
They note that Titans have passed through here. I don't know if that's them. I just had
Did they show the thing? Had they shown the graphic where the troops split into 3 sections yet?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So 2 sections go around, 1 goes straight through the middle.
They say, man, Erwin seemed to have some sort of plan, didn't he? And that's what Armin said. He seemed to have some sort of plan in mind. And then John says, a plan? More like a sightseeing tour for the rookies. I don't think so. And then they're informed by somebody who apparently they rallied up with. We don't see exactly who. And he says, listen up, rookies. And they're kind of all there. And he says, now we're no longer to enter the forest. We're to go up in these trees and we're to stop any Titans from entering this forest. Mm-hmm. And then John says, yeah, but why would we just shut up and follow orders? Okay, well, sometimes that can be taken
that's when John's
terribly.
Like, I'm going to stab him in the back.
Yeah, sometimes that can be taken terribly. Like, hey, do your freaking job, dig this ditch. Like, I just dug a ditch, right? Shut up and dig this ditch. Like, okay, you don't care about me. You just want to exercise your authority. But sometimes you got to trust in the process. If you trust in your commander, you trust in the strategy, you got to do what you're supposed to do. Yeah. And in this case, they're going to shut up and follow orders. So they all just get up in the trees. They're way high up, and they're all kind of sitting around and talking, right? And while this is happening, I think John says, what the hell is happening? And we can see in the background the kind of a little like Armin, and he's looking like this. And you can just tell
if his brain was making noises, he would be like, tick, 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 tick,
yeah.
tick, tick, tick.
If we could hook up some sort of power capability, we could get some serious power generated from Armin's brain.
Meanwhile, John is like, guys like him end up with knife wounds in their back sometimes. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, he says in ancient battles when troops distrusted their commanding officers, they would sometimes end up with mysterious stab wounds in their backs.
Yeah, because they keep talking and they say, and they're kind of all they're just like us. When we hear something we don't like,
you murmur and complain.
You murmur, complain about it. You discuss it.
You're like, I have a better idea. Like, this was a crap idea.
And I mean, even all of us hearing these, guidelines from certain government agencies, which sit around, we're like, you can go to the beach, but you can't sit down on the beach.
Mm-hmm. That's can't put a chair on the beach.
I've ever heard in my freaking life.
You can fish standing up, but you can't fish with the chair.
Yeah, because everyone knows that chairs immediately give you viruses. Yeah, immediately. Yeah, so it's like we hear these orders and they don't make sense to us. So we either make fun of them, we don't trust them, we discuss them. So they're all sitting around, they're doing this in the trees, and they say, we've lost our spotting capabilities here, in the woods. We're sitting ducks. Why didn't we go around? Did Erwin mess this up? And John says, this is insane. Him and his idiotic orders, and he's kind of going off. And Armin's like, bro, calm down, And this is when John talks about, in ancient days, talking about kind of a coup, right?
Yeah.
Fragging, your buddy is like, when commanders were deemed unworthy, they'd end up with knife wounds in the back, And this would happen. It's a military thing that would happen where some hot shot rookie would show up right from JRTC, as an officer, and he'd be placed in command of these like grizzled veterans who know exactly how combat works on the ground, whether it was Vietnam or whether it was World War II or Korea. And he's like, okay, guys, I got all these great ideas. And they're like, no, we know what works, right? And if you don't immediately earn the respect of your soldiers, they're not going to follow you because it's their lives on the line for you. And so a lot of times, accidentally, a grenade would happen to go off in a tent. So this is what John is referencing, but they don't have grenades. So he's saying, oh, you end up with a knife wound in your back, right? What is Commander Erwin thinking? And then Armin says, I shouldn't be asking what Commander Erwin's thinking, even though he's trying to figure it out. He says, is Commander Erwin aware the female Titan is pursuing Eren? That's the correct question.
Well, he's saying he phrases it in such a way, at least when I read it, I made it sound like maybe he did say it like that. But the point I'm trying to make is that Armin is now assuming that the commander actually already knows that the commander was actually almost planning for this to happen.
Armin realizes he's asking the wrong question.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He's not
first he asks Jean what he's planning. He goes, calm down, I'm going to follow orders. And then he's like, but what is Commander Erwin thinking? And then he goes, wait, I'm asking the wrong question.
What is he thinking?
The wrong question.
What is he planning, knowing that essentially that he's being pursued by this abnormal?
Does he know someone's hunting Eren?
And it's just like chess. It's just like, Pixis is playing chess, everyone else is playing checkers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Erwin, Sonny, and Bean get killed. Or everyone's like, why would somebody do this?
Confused.
And Erwin says, who do you think the enemy is?
What is the enemy?
That is the correct question. What is the enemy? Yeah. That's the correct question. Everyone's asking the wrong question, right?
Yeah, these things are all related. I mean, sure, you get that by now watching it for everybody, but every event that you watch, they're all tied together. And it's not so much that they're all a giant conspiracy, but they all have to do with each other. So Sonny and Bean dying, and then we don't know who did it, has to do with the mission that they're out on right now. Like, there is no wasted space. This episode included. There is no wasted dialogue going on here in any of these episodes because, I just feel like when I watched it the first time, I felt like these events were a little disconnected.
Kind of random.
Yeah, it seemed like kind of random, but they bring it all home they bring it all home over the course of seasons worth. But all I'm saying is that's why we're doing this podcast. Pay very close attention to these details
matter.
And you get more out of the show.
Yeah, it's like you can get ahead. You can learn strategy if you learn to ask the right questions at the right times. All these noobs are asking, why did this happen? What are we doing? And it's like, no. Armin's starting to realize, okay, if I'm going to think like Commander Erwin, I got to start asking the right questions. And quoting very brilliantly Rowdy Piper, he said, just when you guys start getting all the answers, I start changing the questions, right? Like sometimes you got to throw, a bone on these people, got to switch things on their head. And all of a sudden Armin's realizing he's been asking the wrong questions. He needs to ask the right question.
Yeah.
Because if Commander Erwin is aware that the female Titan is pursuing Eren, that's why he led him to this forest. And here's where he gets the revelation. Wait a second. There's only one reason to come here. It's to confront the female Titan.
Yeah.
Because ODM gear works perfectly in the
trees.
redwoods.
In the forest. So, yeah, the more you kind of think about it, the more the plan makes sense if that's correct. So, they're out in the open plains, which would draw the attack. And then instead of going to their intended destination, or what they thought the intended destination was, which was an old city in the south, which would be more open plains, and just maybe some buildings and so on, which is not good cover. They go to a forest, which is actually great cover. And so the whole idea was like, all right, the soldiers, have intentionally thrown off the scent here, but why? And so you're probably picking it up, but there's something unraveling here in the plan, and Armin is our clue in to what the plan actually is. There is a quick cut here too. I don't know if this makes any difference. I'm just pointing it out because poor Mikasa. So Mikasa's not with Eren, and she notices that the center ranks are going in and that they're not going to be.
She's going around.
And she's there with Connie, and Connie's like, he's like, wait, so we're going to go around, but what about the formation? She goes, there is no formation. We've lost our spotters. She knows what's going on too. She doesn't know the plan. I'm saying, she knows immediately, okay, this is trouble.
About to go down.
And also, I'm not in there with Eren. This is horrible.
This is her nightmare. It's her nightmare.
Her nightmare's coming true
but
again.
But it's kind of what she sees it as what she talked about earlier. She sees it as soon as a fight happens, all strategy goes out the window.
That's what I thought too when she said it. I was like, she's not planning on following the plan, because she's like, all right, you know what? What's the Mike Tyson quote that says?
No formation.
Everyone's got a plan to get punched in the mouth.
Everyone's got a plan to get punched in the mouth. Exactly.
And so she sees it as a breakdown in the plan. And a lot of people do. But Armin's saying, wait a second. This isn't a breakdown in the plan.
This is the plan.
This is the plan.
Yeah.
And they were told to keep all these Titans out of the forest. And they found, we don't actually need to go down and fight them.
Yeah, then John's
we just need to sit here.
We don't really need to do
because the Titans
anything.
are but these trees are enormous. So they're incredibly safe. Because these trees are as tall,
way taller
than
the tallest. Not the tallest. The colossal Titans obviously taller, but none of the other ones are more than 15 meters. So
they're actually fairly safe, and they're actually serving a pretty good purpose. It looks like, because they are keeping the Titans out of the forest, and now Eren and the cargo wagons have now made it safely into the middle of the forest.
So we think. But we see the black smoke shoot up, right? And this is actually, it's going back to what we were saying. They were saying, out in the open, the Titans have the advantage. But inside the forest is really great maneuverability. The ODM gear is made for this. Mm-hmm. And Eren says, sir, why wouldn't we go around? Why are we doing this? And
he's kind of starting to freak out a little bit.
Yeah, Levi says to him.
This is an interesting part.
I like how, is it before or after Levi says his thing when he looks around at the others and realizes?
It's after. It's only when the girl shows up. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, you want to say?
I was just going to mention that, Eren realizes that nobody knows what's happening either. And they're all just as nervous
even
as
the
he
elite
is.
Scouts
the elite scouts that are like, he did all their stats and all their kills and everything. And they're sweating and they look a little bit freaked out.
Yeah. He makes a note here, which is something
nobody
I
knows the plan.
Well, nobody knows the plan, but
except for one calm person. The only person that's calm is Levi.
But he does. Okay, well, this is one of the reasons I relate to Eren as a character. There's a lot about him I feel like I identify with personally, but this is the number one thing is the fact that he applies a fairly intense or like kind of harsh standard to himself, and like I feel like I do the same thing. It's why it's worth pointing out anyway. But so what he does here is he goes, oh, well, I'm still new. He makes this assumption. I'm still new. And this is just, and like they're not telling me everything here because I'm supposed to learn essentially trial by fire.
It's kind of an initiation. It's kind of tough. Like, hey, figure it out yourself, kid. Otherwise, you'll never make anything.
I know use your head.
I know this is a super weird example. This is going to sound this is extremely nerdy, but you're listening to a podcast about anime shows, so welcome to the club.
We're nerdy anyway.
But so I've been trying to play.
Wait, you guys are nerds?
He's out. He's gone. So I've been playing Call of Duty. I've been playing Warzone, and like I'm very new to like battle royale, like generally, because I never really liked it. I mean, it's not something I played before really, so like I have a hard time getting my brain around it. And so I've been playing, and I've specifically been playing in solos, which is bar none like the toughest way to play this battle royale because it is like a scare fest every single round. Like guaranteed you're gonna jump around a corner and there's somebody camping. My gosh. Yeah, it happens constantly, and you just like sneaking around because you have no friends, you have no allies. It's you versus 150 other people. Like, good freaking luck, soldier. And like
that sounds horrible. Why would you play that?
Because if you make because winning is my top placement so far is like 12th, and even getting that far, I'm like,
it's hard.
Dang, dude, I feel really good about that round, and like especially if you go out and you kill like 7, 8, 9, 10 other people, like that's a big scoring game for anybody. Yeah. Anyway, so. But I've been playing this and kind of like having this exact thought that because Eren said that, and I was like, oh my gosh, I do the same thing where I'm like, whether it's learning an instrument or whatever, and like I just go, oh well, I just suck because I'm just learning this. I'm just new, and like the other experts must just like, it's just trial by fire. Like nobody just tells you this stuff, and then you start to realize like, oh wait, like
nobody knows.
That's not really true. Like you can kind of YouTube like strategies on how to win like a battle royale game. Like there is like more information on this, but the thing is that you start to realize like, oh. At least in playing this game mode, I'm like, wait, the dudes that have like shot me and got me out of the game, or I'm getting out of the game, like we're all in the exact same position. They actually are not any smarter necessarily than I am. They're just as in the dark, but I sort of assume that everybody's better or smarter or knows things that I don't know.
And they may have had a little bit more experience, but they're just as in the dark as you are.
Yeah. And so that's exactly what's happening here in the forest is Eren's like, oh, well, like these are elite soldiers, like they know what's going on. And he looks around and he's like...
And they're all freaked out of their minds.
They don't know what's going on.
We're going to reenact
and then
it real
you realize
quick for those
nobody
of you who are
knows
watching.
The plan.
Rach, we're gonna reenact it. Eren is going to be played by Eric. Oh, no. Okay. So, sorry. Aaron's going to be played by Rachel.
This is the sweat running down.
And then me and Eric are going to be played. So if you tune into YouTube, you can reenact. You can see this.
Where I like...
Okay. So we're riding our horses.
Uh-huh.
Well, like, surely they know what's going on. This is trial by fire. This is right.
Wait, nobody knows what's going on.
Yeah,
I just peed.
They have the
actually,
anime, the grim thing over their eyes.
Does nobody know the plan?
Yeah, and it kind of comes down to...
But no one can see Levi's face because he's just looking forward.
Right, because you got to be epic and stoic. But it kind of comes down to the whole bit like, okay, maybe they don't have every strategy already laid out.
Yeah.
But maybe they trust their commander that much.
Sure. maybe that's the thing.
Then the black smoke.
Yeah, then the black smoke goes off, and then it all hits the fan because.
And then Levi says, "Draw your swords."
Yeah, draw your swords.
Okay.
And we see a couple of.
This is the perfect place for ODM.
Yeah, we see the slow mo. What I have written down here is slow mo scary moments. Because they do this, oh man, the forest is so well animated. This whole thing, like
it's
eerie
true.
music. There's this kind of almost moment of like silence and this like slow mo like kind of moment, and then bang, she like breaks out from the forest, and she's already made it in.
And there's like a couple people that are trying to engage with her,
and she just does what she's been doing the whole time, and just makes quick work of them.
And this is actually the part that I really like because they're all writing. Eren's freaked out. Oh man, like what are we doing in here? And I was questioning everybody. Nobody knows what's going on. Commanders just draw their swords, and he looks over and all of these like dudes, and he realizes, wait a second, I'm in the unit of the most
elite Titan killers.
Titan killers, and he says, "Idiot, you've walked into on your own doom. What you're chasing is the most elite Titan killing unit out here," because he knows all the stats, right? He's like the nerd of these Titans, and he's like,
he's seen Levi do his thing.
This is the worst unit you could try to run after, and he realized, and I think he kind of misses the point. There's a reason for it. There's a reason that you're Eren with the most elite unit right now is because they don't want you getting into her hands. This is all a setup.
And she almost gets him.
She
goes for the grab and misses, and she's already killed like the two. Done her same thing where she sort of flings them. They go to engage her in the nape. Again, I wish I could just tell them. Like I'm shouting at the TV.
Don't do it.
Don't go for her. She's gonna fling you around and murder you.
Yeah.
But she does.
That one she grabs the one guy and just like slams him into a tree like a bug. That was man, so savage.
So now even the elite scouts though that are with Eren are watching these other two dudes get killed, and they are screaming at laughing Levi like,
"Come on, buddy, come on!"
Your orders.
One guy's like, "Let me shred him."
Yeah, let me shred him. It's dangerous. We should kill it. You know.
Didn't we come to this forest to fight? You know, like isn't this perfect timing? Come on, Commander.
And they say, "Please give us." Then eventually they go to, "Please give us orders."
Petra's like, come in. Like she's freaking out. You can hear like slight panic, but also tell us to do something. What is happening?
And Levi is fixated straight ahead. He's not going to give an answer.
He hasn't responded at all.
And they're well trained to where they don't break away, and they're waiting for the command.
Yeah.
Dude, the Japanese voice acting. I'm sorry, I just have to point that out right here. That I guess I haven't watched the dubbed version, but the subbed version here, the emotion and the voice acting is spot on. Captain, give us your orders. All he says is cover your ears, and he pulls out one of the smoke guns and points it up, and then ding, to be
screen goes to black.
Why?
What does he mean? Cover your ears. What's happening?
What does this even mean?
Do we trust in Levi? Do we trust in Erwin? Do we trust the plan, or are they making up as they go along? What's going on? What's happening?
It sure looks like there's a plan, and I'll tell you this.
We'll find that out next time.
There is, in fact, a plan for you, and that plan is to go onto iTunes, give us a 5-star review, and write about how much you're loving and enjoying the show and how much other Attack on Titan nerds should be listening to the show if you haven't done so already. So thank you, genuinely. Thank you guys for watching and listening. If you haven't already, again, send us an email, beyondthebasementpodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook and YouTube at Beyond the Basement Podcast. And go subscribe there. Go subscribe. Go watch all the videos. Well, you don't have to watch them, but you can watch stuff on the YouTube channel. Same thing with Facebook. And we broadcast live presently on Sunday nights around probably 9-ish on West Coast time, Los Angeles time.
And we want to reach out to those of you who are, maybe first time Attack on Titan watchers, those of you who are first-time anime watchers, or maybe this is like your 60th anime, you're fluent in Japanese, you wear a kimono, I don't know.
Please come teach us.
Whatever, please. But whatever it is, wherever you're at, we don't want to go through this alone, and you don't have to go through this quarantine alone. Reach out to us, let us know what's going on, but also share this podcast with somebody, a nerdy friend of yours, or somebody who likes anime, because this show cannot be watched alone. You have to talk about the crazy theories.
True. There's lots of intrigue,
and so we wanna talk about crazy theories. We want to talk about the things that we missed, the things that you and your friends maybe talked about. So share this with a buddy, because you can't watch the show alone, and we don't want you to go through it alone. We're in this together. We got to figure out what is going on.
Yes, and amen. Sorry. Okay, so we're gonna do a quick spoilers section, which means if you don't want to spoil the show for yourself, then you should turn your phone off. You should take your tape
cover
recorder.
Your ears.
You should take your Walkman out of your pocket.
Go ahead.
Hit the, don't let them knock the anti-skip thing, but just hit the pause button and let the CD spin on down, okay? Because you don't want to finish this one until later. And just try to remember in your brain. Look at your Walkman and go, okay, 56 minutes or whatever.
Take a note, write it down.
Write it down, and then come back to that point. It's going to take a long time to fast forward through that CD all the way to this part of the track.
Yeah,
but
it's all right, it'll be worth it.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I always heard that actually would make your CDs skip more, like fast forwarding and rewinding stuff on it. But how is it even possible? There's no physical.
It's just the light.
It's literally just the reading data off a hard drive.
How does anything?
How do lights translate data? Period. How does electricity work? I don't.
Okay, that's for a different podcast.
Okay, all right.
All right. Put your phone away. You're giving you 3 seconds.
3.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Oh my!
The shirt
gosh,
has come
the
off.
Spoilers are beginning in earnest.
Oh, these spoilers are bursting out. We are.
Let's go. Clink into that one. Oh yeah, I got a drink. All right, hang on.
So.
Annie is a terrible person.
Spoiler 1 is it's Annie.
Annie's
we said it last time, but
Annie is such a savage, awful, murderous, horrifying person.
Last episode, it was like, okay, I won't kill Armin. I'm trying to do the right thing. Oh, okay, so she cares.
You kind of buy into her right there for a second.
Maybe she's not a complete soulless jerk. Oh, no, she is.
And then you start seeing her. It's almost like she gets frustrated.
She's like playing with people.
She starts murdering people. She's twirling that dude around. That's a guy she was probably hanging out with in training maybe sometime. That's a guy that she shed blood with on the battlefield. You're a dirty, filthy punk.
I hate the cockiness of it and stuff too. It's like, oh, I'm in Titan form now. Like, y'all can't do me. Y'all can't touch me. There's nothing you can do. And I'm like,
she's got this permanent
she has this
Joker,
this smirk on her face, and she's got this kind of saunter going on, and it just makes me want to punch her in the face. So kind of all the spoilers are pretty much surrounding this face.
Yeah, her gross, nasty, muscly face. Gosh. So the one I wanted to point out is that we talked about, Armin doesn't get to say what he wants to report. He's like, I'll stay, but report this one thing. And he's like, oh, you can report it yourself, right? They sort of cut him off, and he never actually says what the thing is that he wants to report. And I believe that is a providential moment, if there could be such a thing in anime.
Because what would he have told?
He would have told
he would have
spy more information.
Because Reiner's standing right there, and Reiner is the armored. He's in on the whole thing. He may have accidentally spilled the beans to Reiner because I'm pretty sure what he's about to say is his theory that we find out later, right? So what we find out later is that Armin knows it was Annie who killed Sonny and Bean because the swapping the ODM gear, he notices all these different things.
Yeah.
He sees her face as a Titan. She sees his face. Like he connects all the dots, right?
Yeah.
But he knows that she probably killed them. And then I think I don't know if he's going to explain the entire thing, the entire plan. Here's all the things that I know and here's how I know it. But I think he would have been about to identify this Titan as Annie, which would have spilled the beans to. He's already spilled some beans to Reiner.
It's
Reiner
true.
knows that Armin's clever, but Armin does not know that Reiner just directed her to where Eren is and all this stuff. He doesn't know. Armin definitely does not know that Reiner's.
He hasn't figured that one out yet.
But my point is he kind of accidentally saves his own skin by not saying what he wants to report here, or so I think. Because I think he would actually. I think at this point he's connected the dots or is privy to the fact that A, she killed Sonny and Bean, and that B, that it's probably her as the Titan shifter. I think.
I also think that.
I think he's leaning that way, but he's not 100% sure.
The reason I think it is because he's having the flashback and he's looking up at her face and he's remembering the details of her face, and Agreed. It kind of zooms in on her eyes, and he goes, I think that's when he realized who she is. Mm-hmm. Because he mentions that later that was one of his dots he connected, was her face was similar to Annie's face.
Yeah, because there is
he had a crush on her. He studied her face a lot.
And there is
how could you have a crush on a sociopath? Okay,
he didn't know she was a sociopath when he had a crush on her.
There is a connection between the way that, Eren's Titan doesn't look exactly like Eren. Obviously, but there is some similarities. Yes. And I almost wonder if Armin's connected that at this point.
Yeah. There's just enough to where you're not quite sure who it is. Mm-hmm. But the fighting stance.
But then when you realize who it is, you're
it's like a Batman mask versus a Superman mask. Yeah. Superman is take the glasses off, mess with my hair slightly, and you're like, oh, who is this guy? I don't even know. What?
Yeah.
It's so absurd.
Batman, you're like, it could be somebody, but then once you see it without the mouth, you're like, oh, of course it was you the whole time. How did I not put that together?
Can we just comment on Batman's version of COVID-19 mask? It's exactly the opposite of what it should be. It's just it's like from the nose, like up and eyes, but not his mouth at all. It's like
which is interesting because I feel like facial recognition. What can you recognize better? Like somebody's like upper half of their face, someone's lower half of their face.
Oh, no.
Well, the upper half for sure. I mean, scientifically, like that's one of the things that gives away your identity is literally like
your eyes.
Yeah, your eyes alone,
brow ridges.
So Batman's trying to do it better.
Have you seen the Bat Dad like COVID-19 video where he's like talking about that exact thing that his mask isn't effective, and then he goes, the guy whatever the character that develops all of his tech, I can't remember his name right now because I'm really tired. Anyway,
or Fox.
No, the other guy.
Quincy Fox?
Yeah.
No, that's my...
Whatever his name is. Okay, anyway.
Babe, he's
played by Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman's
Lucius
Fox.
Lucius is like, oh yeah, I had that. Oh, sorry, Bane took it. And then they like go over to Bane and he's like, I'm not giving it back. It's like so funny.
Yes, Bane's actually prepared for COVID.
Yes.
Okay.
So while this scene is happening,
yes,
they're writing, and we see Armin, and he's like, "Man, how come they're not calling a retreat? What's going on?" Everyone's kind of perplexed, and we see Reiner's face, and Reiner is like
sweating.
He's so
pissed,
mad.
He's like,
I want to kill you.
And it's because he was hoping.
Well, he's hoping that this is
everyone will retreat.
That they're going to retreat,
and then Annie can go stomp Eren.
Or get Eren. Annie's got time to get Eren, and then take off with them. But the fact that they're diverting from the plan, generally, I think is frustrating. Again, it's all by design. Erwin's been planning this whole thing, but it's frustrating Reiner's plans to a larger degree right there.
Yep.
I feel like Reiner's way angrier than everyone else.
Yeah.
Everybody's frustrated and confused, but Reiner is just like angry.
Yeah. Well, he's mad. It's throwing the plan off because the plan probably was to get them to start to retreat. I would have to assume that is the case. She like go and decimate the right wing.
It's because those three, they don't want to fight all of the scouts. They want to only be able to do the minimal amount of damage, get in, get Eren, get out.
Yeah.
And that's being stymied right now by Erwin's good planning.
So one of my other kind of spoiler things that I've written down here is that in the Rampage, I'm kind of making sense of it as I'm talking here, but in the Rampage, like, yeah, maybe the plan was to try and get them to retreat. So she had to kind of like, do a bunch of damage to a certain part. But there's a lot of scenes here where she's, almost killing with pleasure that...
Yeah.
When you know, that it's Annie, it's disgusting. But when you know that her objective is not even to kill, but to just capture Eren and run, and like, you don't have to kill any of those people, lady.
Yeah. You don't have to stomp on people like they're bugs.
You're freaking doing it.
It's like she gets mad that they're trying to attack her, and you're like, of course they would try to attack you. Like, you're a
giant
Titan.
monster.
It just sucks. It's such a sociopath thing to do, and I just hate her guts for it. And there's part of me that like. Remember, we've been tossing this theory around, I think, on previous spoiler parts that perhaps Annie's father is Zeke, the Beast Titan, or whatever.
Which makes sense because they both freaking hate Marlians. And
and like, I'm trying to think, like, does he? There's part of me that thinks that connection isn't there based on this one thing that whoever her father was, I almost feel like would have been like abusive or like hated her or something. But she's like a broken.
How do you know Zeke's not abusive? He's a terrible dude.
I don't know. In her flashbacks, her parental figure seemed kind of abusive and controlling, and like he was raising a sociopath to me.
I think
like the things that he was doing to her
soldiers on purpose.
Yeah, was disconnecting her emotions. He was trying to make her emotionless and just
literally child
make her
soldiers
strong.
And they broke the walls down. So.
Yeah. And psychologically speaking, if somebody was trained to kill from childhood, there's no way that they wouldn't grow up to be just like she's depicted.
Yeah.
To be, even in her human form when she's in training, she just is
disconnected.
Yeah, she doesn't have feelings, it seems like.
She's very stone cold.
She's very stoic. She's always got the same expressionless face going on no matter what happens. Even when people are dying and like the Titans attack and everybody's freaking out, she's just like, whatever, I don't care.
There's only been one time we've seen her show emotion,
and it was when Armin complimented her. That was the only time she cracks, really, even a tiny bit.
I mean, that was one, but remember when they found Marco, and she's in the background, and she's She said something like it wasn't supposed to be like this, and she's got tears in her eyes. Yeah. She says sorry. Yeah.
She says, "I'm so sorry."
Yeah, and she gets it's because she killed Marco. So
apology not accepted, you piece of crap.
I know.
Not only did you consent and sit and cause it on purpose Marco's death.
Yeah.
You went and consented and killed I can't remember the soldier dude. One of the soldiers you actually like there for a minute. One of the first ones she kills last episode. No, I can't remember. It doesn't matter
his name either.
She's like cold-blooded killer murdering these people and doesn't even have to.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just frustrating.
It's brutal.
If you're a giant 15-meter muscle ball, you could just like flick people and you'd still probably shatter several of their bones. They wouldn't be able to chase you, but they'd still be alive.
Yeah. It's sad. The good spoiler that we can talk about is that it's all a trap, and they called Annie, and they're gonna jack her up.
This was all the plan.
I love the way
this
season kind of like plays out here. Like this, we were talking about this before. I thought it was this episode. It's the next episode. It's pretty much the episode that convinced me to watch this show. Like full stop. Yep. Like I'm gonna watch every episode because the way it plays out, you're like, oh, there was a whole secret plan this whole time. What's funny is like, I wouldn't even rank this in like the top 5 of like most satisfying episodes per se, but up to as you're watching the series, this is one of the ones where you're like, that's right. Like
especially when Eren starts raining down some fists of justice on Annie's stupid face, and now that we know what we know about her killing Marco, I am excited.
I'm on board. Yeah, I'm gonna enjoy it a lot more.
I've never been so excited to see a man hit a woman in my life. It's the one time. Okay,
this is it. This is the only instance where you get to relish that fact.
Yeah.
Is she even a woman though anymore? Is she even human?
She's a monster.
Yeah.
She's a monster.
I feel bad. I'm saying such things, but
so tune in next week. We can't wait. Get your popcorn ready. It's gonna be a good one.
It's gonna be delicious.
And if you see us with a giant smile on our faces after the episode,
you will know why. We should post that to the Facebook page. I feel like, all right, here we go. New trend. Every week we're gonna post at least one picture of our faces right after we've watched the episode and try and describe the episode in one facial expression.
Each of us will have a different facial expression.
Yes, it's gonna be great. Y'all are gonna love it.
Sounds like a good challenge.
Okay. beyondthebasementpodcast@gmail.com. Send us your theories, frustrations, concerns. Maybe you're also a sociopath and you're actually like totally okay with Annie just destroying innocents like that. In which case, I guess I want to hear your opinion.
You also view humans as insects
in which case,
to squash.
Let us know what you think, and also let us know your address so we can send it to the FBI.
Correct.
Or we can counsel you
into
having feelings.
And we can pray for your soul.
Emotions for people.
Because you need Jesus.
You can also reach out to us on Facebook or on YouTube in the comments section. At Beyond the Basement Podcast. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to announce. Oh, yeah. Again, we keep hitting on this. As you guys are listening and watching, still, as far as I can tell, no official word on date of release for Attack on Titan Season 4.
Yeah, I
wish I knew, but I keep getting this feeling that because of all this COVID craziness, it might get pushed back a little bit.
We will keep you updated.
Yeah, we will keep you in the loop. Anyway, all right, guys. We love y'all. We're going to clink this one out, and we will see you in the next episode.
Thanks for joining us.
Goodbye. Thanks again for watching and listening. If you're enjoying the show, you can leave us a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify. If you're really loving it and you want some extra cool content, you can join our Patreon page over at patreon.com/beyondthebasementpodcast. Check the show notes or our social media pages for links to some really rad Attack on Titan merch. All right, guys. See you next time.